So you mentioned that Kathryn had approached you directly for this part. What did that mean to you?
Bucket list, you've been chosen. It was a really nice moment. I have met Kathryn before, and she always expressed how much she'd love to work with me. So when it came, it was a really good feeling. And I suppose playing a character with such authority, such gravitas, at least when it comes to this story, was really complimentary. I felt great.
Talk about your meeting with her. What questions did you have of her?
It was really just to understand what vision she had for the film. I didn't know much about the story. She gave me a little breakdown of what it is and how she was going to approach it. I wanted to understand essentially what kind of guy are we talking about? Is he a guy that's going to push the button or isn't he? And she never had a really answer for that. She just said, look, this is a really human moment in the film, and we want you to bring your essence to that character because we want you to bring your essence to that part of the film. I was like, okay, I'm not a politician, right? She's like, I know, but I would vote for you. I was curious about her process. I was curious as to how she shoots, and she's very fluid. And she said, look, I will let you do it. I expect you to show up, know what you want to do, and just get on with it, and I'll shoot it.
What about the three-part structure? Was that laid out for you from the beginning?
Yeah, pretty much, yeah. Yeah, I read the script, I realized that was the structure. She sort of mentioned that as well. And I knew that by the time I got to shoot my components, the rest of it had been shot. So, I had to do a lot of voiceover work for the actors prior to me shooting it, which was a bit bizarre because I wasn't sure how I was going to play it. And we were really lucky that the way I played it in the sort of temp voiceover wasn't too dissimilar from the way I actually played it, partly to do with the way the script is written. And then eventually, when I did perform it, they just airlifted what I'd say in camera into those segments where I'm not in, and it worked perfectly.
But it kind of adds to the complexity of your performance because so much of the mystery is, where is the president? What's he doing right now?
Totally, yeah. Again, by the time we get to my segment, the third act, essentially there is a sort of sense of the audience like, I know where this is going, but, that's the president. Well, where has he been this whole time? And, I think Kathryn and I really found joy in trying to show a human being. He's at his office, his shoes a bit tight. He doesn't remember what his day is. He's got Quincy who thinks he can do a jump shot. I mean, these are like, because the audience know, oh my God, he doesn't know that in 7 minutes his life's gonna change, that we found ways to really humanize him. So that when the story kicks in for the audience as they know it, they realize, oh my days, this guy is going through this from a very different position from everyone else.
And I talked to Kathryn earlier, and she meant exactly that. Like, I think we're used to seeing these movies and the president's like at his desk, ready to go into the Situation Room, but that's not the reality of what these days are like. He's got other things going on. So the reality is, if something like this happened, he probably is, off doing something like exactly like that. You can't plan for these kinds of events.
No, exactly. I think there was some, sort of reference to President Bush at the moment of 9/11 and where he was and how his life changed. And, he had to absorb that while in the public presence, and yeah, I think there's a little bit of that going on there.
One of the things I think you also do so powerfully, and, what Kathryn does with the script and Noah, is bring humanity to all of these characters. And that's especially true with your character. How did you infuse that? What did you want to do to make the president seem human?
Presidents and any characters of authority, they usually played with authority. They played with that sort of cadence and power. I wanted to try and examine this guy without that. I wanted to see fear. I wanted to see a little bit of bumbling, fumbling. I wanted to see stuttering. I wanted the phone's not working exactly. How do I get this to work? I didn't want him to come across as like, I am the president and I'm tough, as you see in most movies. I wanted you to see that this guy was thinking on his feet. He didn't know what the hell was going on, quite frankly, because he wasn't prepared. No one's prepared. None of us are ever prepared for this. And at the same time, he is the president. He is the leader. So he has to gather the information, and you slowly see in him starting to focus people. In the case of one of the consultants, he's hyperventilating. He's like, hey, I need you to breathe. I need you to calm down a little bit. And when you hear it first time round in one of the segments, but then you see him say it later, you kind of go, oh, wow, okay, he isn't a fumbling guy. He is a human being, and he's trying to gather his thoughts. And, but again, you know, the moment in the Oval Office where his shoe, that was an improvisation moment. I just decided, oh, maybe my shoe's not working. And I don't think anyone's ever seen a president take off his shoe and be like, hey, can you give me the right size? This is crazy. Because actually that's probably what happens every day. He's got a press conference, he hates this tie, give me another tie, you know, those sort of things. And that's the human side of, you know, any leader, right?
Noah's script is so meticulously researched, but there were so many things that were so shocking. You know, the number of missiles, the fact that they're not so accurate. What was the moment that shocked you the most? Was there something that surprised you that you learned?
The system involved in sort of like, how do we evacuate a city? Turns out you can't. And the time, that was like, wait, what? So there's no system, there's no, yeah, everyone jump on this boat and we get out of here in 18 minutes. No. It's like, if it's coming, you're out. And the idea that there were designated people who will be shipped off to safety was surprising. The idea that we see the gentleman in the news with the presidents of the past carrying that black box, the football or whatever it's called, and you're putting together like, oh, he's there just in case it all goes down. And the president has sole authority. That was just completely mind-boggling to me. Wait, one person can change the world. One person can end the world on his own, on their own. I mean, it's very, very surprising.
It leaves you with so many questions, and she doesn't provide any easy answers. But did you have an answer in your head as to what the president decided to do?
I do have an answer in my head as I think what my president that I portrayed would do. I don't think I should tell you, but only because I think that may, you know, skew the way people watch it or watch it again. But, you know, that final sequence where he is like, okay, I'm ready, he pulls out the card and he's like, I'm ready to go. I had to know what I was going to say. I knew what he was going to say. And I never even revealed it to Kathryn. I know what Idris would have done, though.
What do you want audiences to take away from the film?
Curiosity around this. I want audiences to be like, hey, I need to look this up. I need to understand this a little bit. I want audiences within the media to talk about it and really examine it from a journalistic perspective as to how we got here or why are we still here. I want heads of states and that level to look at it and go, is the system we have the right system? I mean, that is a house of cards and nobody wins. So it is entertainment. This is a film, it's a movie, I'm an actor, but I do want this to trigger some reaction where we actually speak about this and perhaps reform some of our thinking around it.
So tell me, what was your reaction when you first read the script?
I've never been offered or done a role that is very neutral, not neutral, as realistic to my own character. And I'm talking about her as a mother, her at home, the humanity that I could bring. So for me, the fact that I was offered to be on a set with someone like Kathryn was the most incredible moment in my life, to be honest.
I mean, it's Kathryn Bigelow, right? I sort of knew what to expect. You know, I didn't read the script until her and I had a really lovely meeting, and she said, okay, look, I'm just going to send you what we're doing. And of course, it was powerful.
It's so her. She's so relaxed, yeah. Even though the tension of the theme is so big.
Yeah, she was very relaxed, calm about it, and very adamant that there was no one else to play the role. So I didn't really have much of a choice, and I didn't want a choice. I was so excited to do it. But it was very gratifying that this is Kathryn's lane. You know, she uses this wonderful forum job that we have as actors and filmmakers to make very important stories and films, to make the humans think about themselves.
How did you each find your way into your characters?
I had incredible informants and the specialists to educate me on everything that was needed. Also, you know, the set design apparently is literally the exact replica of what the White House is leading into the Situation Room, which was my set. So just seeing Larry Pfeiffer, who is the guy who Jason Clarke plays in real life, walk in, and his reaction was everything to me. I knew that I was put in an environment that is real. Then it's small things, you know, little tiny things that is your character. I tried on so many different suits because I have been told and informed that certain presidencies like the females to have skirts rather than trousers. So we went with that choice. That made sense.
Oh.
And then Kathryn wanted a very boring blue. So just the texture and the feel of the image, she was involved in everything.
You were far from boring.
No, the
Far
suit.
from boring.
The suit.
The suit as well, far from.
Well, thank God it was a skirt.
It was definitely a layering of just, you know, there were no presidents or performances that I'd seen before that I wanted to.
He wasn't there to
yeah,
help you
my
through
guy,
it.
yeah.
No.
I did want to speak to the president, but that didn't happen. But in any case, there was ultra realism is what Kathryn does. So everything around me, I rode around in the Beast. We wore suits and materials that were presidential. Every single detail was just so. And that was, for me, the way to prep, you know. Kathryn was very adamant that she wanted Idris, me as an actor, as a person, as a human being, to really inform the performance, perform the cadence, inform all of the elements that brought this character to life.
Can you give me one word to describe Kathryn as director?
Flexible.
Observant.